So I was asked by someone in the comments about other survivors, and if there were any other survivors out there talking and pointing stuff out. And my experience is not a one. And I say this with authority. Doug Mesner, aka Lucian Greaves, aka founder of the Satanic Temple, has spent years sending his group into conferences like Neil Brick's Smart Conference in Connecticut. I don't trust Neil as far as I can throw him. He is another one. But what happens is that they draw in survivors for a conference that's generally a weekend conference, and then a whole lot of fucking chaos happens. Survivors know that the people who hurt them as children have infiltrated these conferences, and these people are psychotic. Doug's group has been psychotic, but what ends up happening is it has scared every survivor. It's scared them all into silence. Same thing that happened with the conference out in Seattle that I was involved with Felicity, Pat Goodwin, and the Ivory Garden conference. The second year that conference was had, the very same weekend, is when that Amber Volatin person who was directly connected to Doug Mesner drove 2.5 hours to Lori King's house, sent her husband out to go get bread. While her husband is getting bread, Amber Volatin gets Lori King in her car and drives back 2.5 hours to Amber Volatin's house. And that very weekend, Lori commits suicide. And Lori was a key member of Ivory Garden, had a huge following in Ivory Garden. And what ended up happening was it scared the shit out of survivors. And that doesn't take much anyway. And so it scared the shit out of them. How do you know if someone is real or if someone is fake? When they're real, they end up like Max Spears, Lori King, IssacKappy, Nathan Stoltman. Nathan Stoltman was just a good kid trying to make a difference for the better. And when right before they carted him off to the mental institution where he had to go stay, he was saying that Thomas Schoberger, he mentions Thomas Schoberger, and I know that because Thomas himself told me. So they were doing to Nathan the same shit that they've done to me. Because fuck, my life has been fucking hell. They break into my house over and over and over. There's all kinds of shit that goes on. It's just been non-stop fucking gang stalking and harassment. The difference between me and everyone else is that I know why God has kept me here and allowed me to keep doing the same things I've been doing year after year after year. Because the last couple of videos that I've made, what I have that no other survivor had was a documented history. For over a decade, I can show Doug Mesner's attacks. I can show all of the shit that was going on, that I spoke several years in a row at the Smart Conference, until I realized that I think Neil Brick is working. The dude's not stupid. So the shit that Doug Mesner is able to do, there's no way it would not be happening if Neil Brick didn't allow it. It's a weekend conference. He can't control a weekend conference. And I think he's a therapist. I might be wrong. The ones that are fake, like Jesse Cesabar and all of the other ones, if they're running around and able to fucking talk and say all this shit, Phoenix Enigma, if he was who he said he was, and he was actually trying to investigate what happened to IssacKappy and what caused all of it to happen to IssacKappy, he wouldn't have a farm with goats, because they go after you. They will set you up in any way they can. That's why people think that they're just getting into my house and feeding my dogs inordinate amounts of peanut butter because it makes me, it has to be for more than that. So what the fuck are they doing in my house? They want to close me down in the worst way. And if you watch the last couple videos I've done, you will see that there's a documented history. Not just my videos, but shit on Amazon and fucking, Geo and Daniel Dowd can say whatever the fuck they want. But if they fucking if they subpoena my phone, they're gonna see the numbers that both of them called me from, as well as Phoenix Enigma, because they all fucking got my phone number, of course, from Glenna, because they send people in. But there is a documented history now. There's a documented history in Algona. That protection order. That's why I say, investigate me. But if you're gonna investigate me, you better look at the shit I'm saying too. All those videos on that protection order have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the petitioners of that protection order, but only and solely dealt with Doug Mesner. And my contention was I was being harassed the shit out of because they wanted my fucking house. And if they go and subpoena my emails on my Gmail account that I had in Algona, David Schurter 1, which is what I do these videos on, they're gonna see that he was sending me pictures. He sent me an email saying, say goodbye to your house, over and over and over. Then they sent me that fucking crazy woman from Florida. And that all came from people directly from Olympia, Washington. And so they tried to do the same thing to me that Richard Spencer and his group was doing to that town in Oregon. Because they were harassing people so fucking bad, those people were just moving and abandoning their houses. You can go look at it up, go look at it, Easy to find the shit out there. It's not like it's a fucking secret. And that's what they were trying to do to me in my house. Because my house was 23 miles away from Seattle, Washington. And you walked out my front door and Mount Rainier was right there. They wanted that house bad. But there's a long history. Not to mention the history here. Not to mention the history here. That gas station is just one thing. Then you have the whole fucking thing with Yamada. And let me point out, right after that, the city of Harlan disbanded the police station. So Derek Yamada or none of his deputies are even in town anymore. They disbanded everything. And so there's a documented history to all of this shit. And someone out there, last night I woke up at 2 o'clock because they've just been, I think whatever they've done since Saturday to today, I've lost 8 pounds. I've been here before with what they were doing in Algona. And it was the places where people were parking weird last night. So I have a feeling they're trying to do anything they can to shut me up. But it's all spiritual. It's all spiritual. And it is too late shaking that dude's hand and looking him in the eye, I did not realize what was going to happen. I didn't do it with the intention. I'm just a doorway, and heaven ends up heaven uses its power through me to affect people. That darkness and all I've dealt with went right into that guy, and it is a plague. Now he's going to go out and be around people who are involved, and then they're going to go out and be around more people who are involved, and it's all going to go up because it's just going to keep spreading like plagues do. I gave them the darkness with physical contact and direct eye contact. Two key fucking things. And so there's a history that's been, I would be long dead if I waited for people to actually do something about this, to get investigated, to stop them. I wouldn't even be here. Because it's never going to happen. It's never happened before. Lots of promises. Just like if they'll watch this video and then they'll say, oh, there are some unnamed light workers and they're all working on it. They want everyone to think that everyone is working on it. Because once I'm gone, there is no one real. They have control of it all. You know, they've scared survivors into silence. And they used that SMART conference out in Connecticut and the Ivory Garden conference. Because let me tell you, Lori King's murder the same weekend the second annual Ivory Garden conference took place had quite the fucking effect. And obviously, Lori's husband had a real problem with the whole situation because he was dead less than a year later. And that's also documented history. You know, you go type in the name and I can give you the goddamn fucking investigator, policeman who we called. You know, it's not like it's not documented. That's what makes all of this fucking different. And they're on top of me. They're right beside me, right behind me. God only knows. They could be all around me. I don't fucking know. I just know that the ones right beside me and behind me have gone out of their way to parade it around so that I know that they're involved. Because that's a key thing. They want you to know. Like talking to someone in a van and they'll come out and hit a cigarette and go back in and do it 5 times in a 15-minute conversation. That's the kind of shit. Now that could be meth. Yes, it could. But they've gone out of their way to let me know. That's the whole point to this. And there ain't a fucking thing I can do about it, so I really just don't think about it. Why worry about it? There's nothing I can do. It would be a whole act of futility. You know, I do what I can do, and I'm doing a lot. But that's this video. I don't think there are any more survivors out there who are working on it. The other side will give you all kinds of shit, all kinds of names. They're all fucking fake. If they're running around and they're popular and they have a lot of hits and everyone's listening to them and they're everywhere and you can go find them easily, they're not real. It doesn't work that way. The real ones, if they don't murder, they drive into a fucking mental institution, which was what they were telling me they were going to do with that protection order out in Kent, Washington. Again, if you see the emails that I was sending, especially Gilbert Lenger, he was an Algona policeman at the time, and you see the shit that I was sending him, they were telling me that I was either going to be raped and murdered in prison or I was going to be lobotomized in a fucking mental institution. Those are in emails that are on those. So, again, documented history. So, That's what makes all of this different for me. Nobody else had that. They were just shooting in the fucking dark. And I'm pretty fucking specific with mine. And I can afford to be specific. Because I've been at this for a long fucking time. And their biggest fucking concern is that the darkness is getting ready to bring them home. And they're fucked in ways they can't even begin to imagine right now.